Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another very special episode. Man, I can't believe I hit 150 subscribers already. That that is just amazing. Thank you all so much. I appreciate every last one of you. Now, like last time, I'm going to be roasting my old writing that I made when I was 14. It's not great, but one of the reasons why I want to do it is, again, to show that anyone can improve. So, I'll be going through at least chapter 3 today. Maybe I'll go up to 5, since I think chapter 4 is maybe only a page-ish. But we'll see, because this recording is going to be very informal. Alright, so let's begin. There was little light in the meeting room, but I looked closely at the Jagrundi leader and saw burns on her light brown skin. Her long black hair was singed at the ends. Her clothes, a yellow shirt and jeans, were less scorched, but they were caked with blood. Yikes, that's a lot. Does Athena need to go to the hospital? Because I'm getting the vibe of she may need to go to the hospital. Or at least, have Soul look over her injuries? Athena continued her story, telling us how the enemy ran away, leaving her clan to burn from the fire or suffocate from the smoke. Yeah, the second one is definitely more likely to happen sooner, apparently. The Scorpions blocked the front and back doors from the outside with bricks before they fled. Luckily, we managed to get out by smashing open a high window. By then, though, most of my comrades were dead, she finished, wiping her eyes with her hands. Everyone just stood there, silent. We all knew that Ace was cruel, but this was an all-time low. Okay, this paragraph, the part with the bricks really doesn't make any sense. If they wedged, a chair under the outside door or something, yeah, but how do you block someone from opening their door solely with bricks? Because bricks are heavy, but unless they're already, in a wall together, they're not that heavy. So how do they manage to do it? Because they couldn't have just stacked them up then and there, because they would need to wait for the cement to dry, and they could have just blocked it with boards or chairs or literally something else other than bricks. Ah, jeez. Good job, past me. Finally, Soul spoke. I'm afraid I don't have Aloe with me right now, but if you come over to our house, I'll tend to your burns. We could also get revenge on the Scorpions for you. Huh. Interesting, because I thought, because since they don't really live with any stores or anything, wouldn't aloe be something that's seasonal? Does aloe grow in the winter? That would be great, but I can't see any way to defeat them. Even with both packs, using the word packs for a group of people again. Why? Attacking together, the Scorpions would still outnumber us. The Jagrundi leader sighed. Well, do you at least know where our enemy lives? Scarface asks. They live in an abandoned ship near the port. An old oil tanker, I think. Okay, yeah, honestly, as much as I don't like my writing now, I do still think that it's cool that the bad guys live in an old ship. I don't know, just something about that aesthetic to me just seems nice. Wait, did you just say an oil tanker? I questioned. Athena nodded. I grinned. I've got a plan, guys. And it's a good one. Oh boy. And there's a grammar error where usually just so it patches of time, you either put a symbol in between paragraphs or you do an extra space, and I did not know how to do that back then, so I didn't. 3 days after the meeting in the smokehouse, Jagrundi and Wolfpack warriors sat around the kitchen table, discussing battle plans for the night's war. Why was there a comma after Jagrundi and Wolfpack? That doesn't need to be there. It had been Scarface's brilliant idea to let Athena's pack stay at our house until their wounds healed, and until they had gotten more recruits. Of course, we all knew that another reason was because Scarface and Athena were becoming very good friends. Oh, really? Interesting. Huh. I wonder why there was no mention of this before, though. Later that night, just before the battle, I heard Scarface and Athena discussing the battle plan in my room. Why not their room? Why are they in Coyote's room? Like, what are they doing there? I crept toward the door to hear them better. Why not just enter and ask? Why do you have to sneak around like you're not supposed to be doing it? You should know the battle plan. This isn't like a secret thing. Scarface had sent out several Wolfpack and Jagrundi spies just this afternoon, and it sounded like he had just received some grave news. Jaguar said the oil tanker is crawling with enemy warriors. It's like they know we're coming, Athena. No, it's just 'cause they freaking live there. What were you expecting? Oh, the home of our enemy has tons of enemies in it. How could this possibly be? Oh my gosh. Why? The Jagrundi leader shook her head. No, Scarface. This is our battle. The Scorpions don't suspect a thing. Let's get our revenge. But I thought you said you couldn't get your revenge. Why are you so eager now? What happened within those 3 days? Okay, and wait, now I do a time skip. What? What? What the heck passed me? Wolfpack attack! Stark yelled as we sprang from our hiding place, an enormous rock, and surprised the scorpion warriors who were guarding the doorway. The plan was simple. When Sarg and I had taken care of the guards, the other warriors would race inside and search for the place where the oil in the ship was stored. As soon as the battle was in full swing, Caitlin would set the oil tanker on fire. Both packs would flee, leaving our enemy to burn. Okay, so they called Ace cruel for lighting the Dagrundi's house on fire and leaving them to die. But now they're doing the exact same thing. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of an excuse because they're getting revenge. But, like, there's still a bit of hypocrisy here. Also, I think Caitlin was the name of one of my friends from middle school, if I remember correctly. I slammed into the first guard, and his head hit the side of the ship hard. As the warrior slumped, unconscious, the second guard suddenly grabbed me by my throat and began to choke me. Okay, and there's no other description besides that. There's no other sensation of what that feels like, which, if I was writing this nowadays, I would have added that. I gasped and twisted around, trying to reach my obsidian knife in my belt and plunge it into my attacker's neck. That's not how choking works, because when someone has you by the throat, you can't really twist. Well, depending on how hard they're grabbing you, it's kind of hard to twist. Of course, this was before I took karate, so this is before I actually knew, how to fight properly and what being choked and, taking a proper punch felt like. So, of course, this is going to be, not as accurate because the most fight scenes I got were from, like, TV, and those are all fancy and everything. The warrior noticed this, however, and punched my weapon with his free hand, trying to break it. Wow, that's a really bad move, just punching a knife. It would be so better to grab it. His grip on my throat loosened when he hit my weapon, though, and I used that moment to bite his hand. Ow! Ooh! Ooh, that's painful. Ah! Especially because if it draws blood, because if a human bite draws blood, you need to go to the hospital because there is a very high rate of infection. Because apparently, unknown to me at this time, human beings have really gross Komodo dragon-like mouths, where we have just so many germs in it, even after brushing our teeth, where any bite that draws blood can get infected very, very easily. With a roar, my attacker dropped me in the sand, and I gulped in the cool air until the spots stopped flashing before my eyes. There's some description. Okay, that's a little better. As the guard raised his fist to strike me, Sarg barreled into him, and they both tumbled onto the cool sand. Okay, more description. That's better. That's better. Taking advantage of the moment, I motioned for the packs to begin the second part of her plan. Okay, I'm back. I got some water. Okay, I'm back. I got some water, so it no longer sounds like I am gargling nails. Alright, so let's continue. They wasted no time scrambling from their hiding places and gathering around the rusted door leading to the ship. It's locked, Athena groaned after attempting to open the door. Again, what did you expect? Do you expect, their home just to be wide open? Who doesn't lock their home? Oh, give me that, Scarface growled. There was a low groan as he ripped the metal door off its hinges. Okay, I don't know if I specifically state. Maybe I stated in chapter 1. I forget. But for those of you who don't know, Scarface, his name later is Alex in future stories, he actually has super strength, so that's why he's able to, do a lot of things involving strength most people normally wouldn't be able to do, like tearing off a metal door with zero effort. Inside the tanker, Ace sat on the floor, playing poker with his cronies, unaware of our presence. How does Coyote do with poker right away? What the leader commented, staring, as Scarface threw the door at him. that, that's a very funny visual right there. Just, oh my gosh, yeah, that's good past me. Alex yelped and rolled away to avoid getting hit. As the door slammed into the spot where he had been, the rest of the scorpions began to attack us when we entered the ship. A warrior who was blind in one eye swung his sword at me, which I easily parried. How? Where did this dude get a sword? Like, where did his sword come from, and how did Melissa parry that with a little tiny knife? I ducked as another scorpion warrior went flying over me and accidentally slammed into my first attacker. That's so cartoonish, oh my gosh! I heard an angry snarl and a yelp come from behind me. I turned to see Caitlin and Jamie fighting off four warriors twice their size. Why do they make animal sounds, though? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Coyote! Caitlin yelled as she landed another blow and sent a warrior flying. Coyote, I can't find the oil tank. No oil tank? This was bad. Very, very bad. Now, I haven't actually looked up a diagram of an oil tanker, but I am severely wondering if it has an oil tank in it. Like, I assume it does, but that would most likely be at the bottom of the ship near the, or wherever the engine was. I didn't when I was writing this, I obviously didn't look up any diagrams of what an oil tanker looked like so I could get an accurate reading. I just assumed I knew what it meant, which was not too smart of me. Like, always do your research and look things up, kids. No oil tank, this was bad. Very, very bad. The scorpions kept attacking us, no matter how many we defeated. I had already fought off 5 enemies when a young man with claws like jaguars raked them down my face. Why is there a comma there? Pain exploded into my skull as I slammed my head into the back of the ship to avoid having my right eye taken out. Ow! I swiftly cut his throat with my dagger so he wouldn't cause me any more trouble. Ah, yes. Casual murder. Lovely. However, I didn't know how much longer I keep going. I could keep going. Good grammar there. My muscles burned like fire, and the floor was slick with blood. But when blood dries, doesn't it turn sticky? Why would it be slick with blood unless it's like very, very recent? Just then, I heard Ace's triumphant laugh. I ran over to where he was to see what was going on. I froze in horror as I saw Scarface battling 10 warriors, fighting for his life. His face and clothes were soaked red, blood pooling around his feet. Oh, that's not good. He was limping a little, and his left arm hung uselessly by his side, clearly broken. Alright, let's see if this injury carries over. Scarface! I yelled in anguish as my leader's knees buckled, and he disappeared into the sea of scorpion warriors. I mean, obviously very tense, but also, he could only lose so much blood, which I'm pretty sure by then he's already lost a lot. So, I mean, if this was the real world, he would be dead already. Like, no doubt about it, he would have bled to death by now. Can't you lose only like 1 or 2 liters of blood? What is that? Or is that how much blood is in the human body? I don't know. I'll probably have to Google that later, but you only have so much blood in your body, and depending on how tall you are, it's more or less. Alright, on to chapter 4. A young man wearing blue jeans and a black leather jacket crept into the Wolfpack hideout, grinning at the special assignment he had been given. Why are there no guards left in the Wolfpack's hideout? Like, why did no one stay behind so this exact situation would not happen, or at least this mission would be more difficult to complete? And I hope we picked the lock, because if the Wolfpack left their door unlocked, That's just not good. That's just not safe. The stranger had fled just before the battle, after his master had given him the task. So, did the scorpions know the wolf pack was coming? Because if this guy had to sneak into a whole house, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I mean, if it was only him sent on this mission, why would he do it? It just doesn't make sense how things just line up like that. Like, if the scorpions knew the wolf pack was coming, then why was Ace so taken off guard? And then how does this guy know they're gonna be gone? So he can do what he has to do. Now, where would he activate his plan? He crept toward the kitchen, easily jumping over the broken, overturned sofa that stood in his way. Wait, when did the sofa get broken and overturned? It wasn't that there was a fight in the house, so what happened there? What happened with that? Why is the sofa like that? Silently, he opened the kitchen door and crept inside, paying no mind to the wooden table and splintered chairs. Yeah, I sure hope not, considering that's not part of the mission. At the end of the room, he noiselessly pulled open a cupboard, which contained water, a can of Dr. Pepper, and a bottle of root beer. Are these fished out from the dumpsters? So, like, who throws away a whole and open can of Dr. Pepper and a bottle of root beer? Who does that? I'm so confused how they got Dr. Pepper and root beer from dumpsters. Who does that? He quickly grabbed the root beer and popped the cap off, carefully not to bend it. Okay, but like, the seal's still gonna be broken. They're still gonna know something's up. Like, if it was a screw-on cap, that would be one thing. But the fact that you have to pop the cap open, even if you don't bend it, I don't think it really fits right once you try to put it back on. The stranger took out what looked like a bottle of yellow-green nail polish and poured a few drops into the drink before slipping it back into his leather jacket. It sounds like he slipped back the drink into his jacket. That's not how you order things. As he screwed... Okay, so now it says he screwed the cap back on, but he popped it off. So you can't screw that back on. He made sure nothing was out of place. The stranger closed the cupboard and left, as swiftly and silently as a shadow. Okay, I actually like that last sentence. That's actually not too bad. Right, on to chapter 5, which is the last chapter I'm going to read. Another warrior... Pardon me. Another warrior rushed at me from behind, but I dodged his attack. When I turned to face him, I slipped and winced as I twisted my right ankle. Ow! Ooh, that's... Ooh. Ooh. The scorpion warrior lunged at me again, but I kicked him upside the head with my good leg, and he staggered backwards. I stripped my attacker's feet from underneath him, and his body thumped to the ground. So, again, I'm taking karate now, and to get a good leg kick, if you're not used to that, is really hard, because you have to be extremely flexible, and the karate I'm learning, our kicks don't go above the waist, so even today, I still could not do that kick, because I can't, I'm short, so I can't even reach that high with my leg, and B, I'm pretty sure if I tried that, my leg would tear in half. I slit the warrior's throat to finish the fight. Oh, more casual murder. Yay! And despite Coyote killing several people, I am not gonna show this as traumatizing in any other way. Not at all. Despite the fact that I had managed to defend myself, I was frustrated that the slippery floor had nearly cost me my life. Had it, though? Had it really? Because you seemed like you were still doing pretty freaking well. Wait, why was the floor slippery if there was no blood on it? Unless there was some other slick substance, but in the last chapter, I just said the floor was free from blood. So why am I retracting that statement now? It would have made sense if I would have said, why was the floor slippery when the blood was dried? But it's completely saying now, oh, now there's no blood on it now? What? Caitlin, light a match and drop it between the floorboards, I yelled. Aren't aren't oil tankers made of metal? So why would they be floorboards? Caitlin quickly took out a book of matches as she slashed away at another foe. How? Lit one and dropped it between the floorboards. Okay, how is she doing this while fighting? Because you have to usually take out the book, hold a match in one hand, hold the book of matches in another, strike the match, and then drop it. But she's apparently doing this one-handed. Somehow. Maybe that's her special power. Do things one-handed. Almost instantly the floor became hot, like there were coils of an enormous oven beneath our feet. That could have been a better descriptor, because the coils of an enormous oven beneath our feet is so long that it straight up kills the tension. Is it gonna explode? Because that would be funny. That'd be some B-movie stuff. The scorpions began to back off, not really sure of what to do. Come on, Coyote, I think there is something other than oil down there. Jamie hollered as she and Caitlin disappeared through the door. I turned to follow them when I remembered Scarface. I turned around and was relieved to see Athena, Sarg, and Lysra fighting off our enemy to keep them from hurting our still breathing leader. He'll be okay then, I thought as I raced through the exit. No, just because someone's breathing in the moment doesn't mean they're going to be breathing 5 minutes later. Especially considering if he lost a ton of blood. And they don't have surgery in this world, so if he loses too much blood due to internal injuries, he's dead. We were only mere seconds from getting killed that night. Scarface had just limped behind the rocks and collapsed. How'd he get out? When the scorpion ship exploded in a great ball of fire! Oh my gosh, I was right! I thought it would explode and it did! It exploded! The heat from it blasting us all backward. That I'm sorry, that's just wonderful for 14-year-old me, just writing an explosion because I wanted to. Yes. I yelped as a burning piece of, oh god, debris flew through the air and hit me on my shoulder. No one could have survived that, Athena said solemnly. Why are you sad? You wanted this to happen. You should be like, yay, we got our revenge. But no, you're like, oh no, we're enemies. They might be dead. Consistency. Except them, Caitlin gasped, pointing toward the other pile of rocks. Ace, Lucas, and 4 other survivors limped onto the rocky shoreline. Okay, but how did they survive? Because it exploded. Like, even if they weren't burned to death, usually the force from the blast is enough to kill someone through internal damage through their organs. So, how did they not? die. This is some B-movie stuff. You'll regret this, Wolfpack, Ace was shouting. One day you and the Jagrunny will bow to the Scorpions. Fat chance, I yelled, among the happy cheers of the Wolfpack and Jagrunny gangs. Wow, stellar dialogue. Sounds so natural. My dialogue is just... I'm still not the best at dialogue, but at least it has improved over whatever this is. Well, I hope it has improved. God, please tell me it's improved. When we were all gathered in the kitchen, Soul was prepared to tend to our injuries, which were mostly minor cuts. How? How? How did all of you get mostly minor cuts? Like, you said you were really, really struggling against the Scorpions. And suddenly it's like, oh, no, we're fine. These are merely scratches. Like, no. If you were struggling, that means there's going to be some more serious injuries. Not to mention, a coyote got a cut on her face near her eye, which, even if it didn't get her eye, it should have, at least caused blood from her forehead to go into her eye, which would have really hurt. So how... What? I just think I didn't want, me having to, deal with keeping track of injuries for everyone, so I just gave everyone, well, almost everyone, minor cuts. However, the Wolfpack couldn't help but stare at our blood-soaked leader. It's fine, Scarface reassured us as our healer tended to his arm, putting it in a sling. Doesn't he need to reset the bones first, though? And, assess it and see if, oh, this is going to require deeper, surgery that we might not have or not? Instead, he just puts it in a sling, don't you need to put, a splint on it or something so that it heals fine? It's mostly not my blood. However, as soon as he said that, he doubled over in a grunt of pain. Soul, I don't feel good. Mr. Stark, I don't feel good. I'm sorry, that was the first thought that came to my mind when that line happened. Also, why is he having that reaction now? Stoll quickly examined our leader, probing his muscles. You'll be fine, Scarface. You just lost a lot of blood, that's all. Remember, you need to keep your iron levels up high, for both your health and using your strength. Hey! I actually put a weakness in here! Because, way back when, I was inventing weaknesses and powers for everyone, and one of the disadvantages of having super strength was that you needed to keep your muscle mass up a lot higher than an average person's, so you needed to keep your iron levels up along with you need to eat a lot more protein. After hearing that Scarface was going to be okay, the pack and Jagrundy, I missed a word there, relaxed a little. Well, as long as no one is seriously hurt, I can't see why we can't celebrate the Scorpion's defeat. I mean, Alex's broken arm, so that's a pretty serious injury right there. Coyote. Yeah, that's pretty serious. What the heck, man? I said as I opened the cover that contained drinks. The Lost City had no running water, so the only liquid we ever got was from a pump next to our house. Well water! Gross! However, the water was a dull brown and tasted like iron, not very quenching. So like every high school water fountain. 1 month ago, the Wolfpack was fortunate enough to stumble upon 2 unopened cans of soda in a dumpster. Since bottled water is extremely rare, let alone soda, we have been saving the drinks for a very special occasion. I grabbed a can of Dr. Pepper for myself. Brand placement! and threw the bottle of root beer to Scarface. Okay, what are you throwing at him when the man has a broken arm? Like, hand it to him. Cause if it's a dominant arm that's broken, he's gonna automatically try to grab it with that hand since that's the hand he's used to catching things with. Since root beer is, that should be was, our leader's favorite drink, I was shocked when he gave it to Jinx, the Jagrundi healer. Yes, he gives us this one person we've never heard before, and I think the reason why I chose the name Jinx was because uh I had named one of my Pokemon that, and I liked the name so much that I wanted to include it in other things. Well, Scarface, as long as you're sure you want me to have it, the healer said as he popped the top off and took an enormous swig. I also opened my soda. That should be pop. I'm from the Midwest. What did I do? Soda instead of pop. And gulped it down, letting the sweet, sugary liquid fizz in my mouth, closing my eyes in delight. Suddenly, Athena screamed, followed by the sound of glass breaking and a thud as something heavy hit the wooden floor. My eyes snapped open to see Jinx crumpled on the ground, the broken root beer bottle beside him, its contents forming a bubbling brown puddle on the floor. The healer was foaming at the mouth, and his body jerked with spasms, his green eyes rolling in his head. Oh no. How does poison work that fast, though? Like, is there a poison that works in mere seconds? Because I think at most it would take a little while. What happened? I asked a wide-eyed Athena. Someone poisoned the root beer wheel in battle, she gasped. I mean, I guess she didn't tell that because Jinx is foaming at the mouth, but how did he know it wasn't poison before then? Jinx suddenly stopped jerking and laid still, his eyes glassy. The room became deadly quiet. Wow, that is 2 deaths of 2, like, named characters and several deaths of unnamed characters, all in the span of a few chapters. I am so proud of Past Me for that. And I was going to drink that, Scarface mumbled. Sarg bent down and picked up the bottom half of the root beer bottle. There's a slip of paper stuck to the bottom, he announced. The piece of paper, no bigger than an index card, read, courtesy of the White Fox. Well, whoever this White Fox is, they're going to pay, Jaguar snarled, flexing his claws. And that is the end of that chapter. Thank you so much for joining me again with roasting my writing. And again, thank you so much for 150 plus subscribers. That's absolutely amazing. I just appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you in the next book review.